from the grip of terrorists. In July 1976, Israel answered that question with a mission that stunned the world. A hijacked plane, over 100 hostages, and a rescue operation launched deep inside enemy territory. This is the story of Operation Entebbe, one of the boldest military rescues in modern history. The summer of 1976 was supposed to be a time of celebration for Israel. The nation was preparing to commemorate the bicentennial of American independence alongside their closest ally. But on June 27th, everything changed when Air France Flight 139 took off from Tel Aviv bound for Paris, carrying 248 passengers and crew members, including 94 Israelis. The flight made a scheduled stop in Athens, where 4 terrorists boarded the aircraft. Among them were 2 members of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine and 2 Germans from the German Revolutionary Cell. As the plane soared over the Mediterranean, these hijackers revealed their true intentions. Pulling out guns and grenades while taking control of the aircraft, the terrorists diverted the flight to Benghazi, Libya, where they refueled before continuing to their ultimate destination, Entebbe Airport in Uganda. This wasn't a random choice. Uganda's dictator, Idi Amin, was a supporter of Palestinian causes and had granted the terrorists sanctuary. Upon landing, the hijackers were joined by additional accomplices, bringing their total number to 8 armed militants. At Entebbe's old terminal building, the nightmare truly began. The terrorists separated the passengers, releasing non-Jewish hostages while keeping 106 people, mostly Israelis and Jews from other nations. Their demands were clear and chilling. Israel must release 53 Palestinian and pro-Palestinian militants from prisons in Israel and other countries, or the hostages would be executed. The deadline was set for July 4th. Back in Jerusalem, though, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin faced an impossible choice. The government had maintained a firm policy of never negotiating with terrorists, but now over 100 innocent lives hung in the balance. The cabinet was divided. Some ministers argued for negotiation, believing that preserving human life was paramount. Others argued that giving in to the terrorists would lead to more attacks and put more lives at risk. But deep within the Israeli Defense Forces headquarters, a different conversation was taking place. Military planners were studying maps, analyzing intelligence reports, and asking themselves an almost absurd question. Could they actually mount a rescue mission 2,500 miles from home? The challenges seemed impossible. Entebbe Airport was located in the heart of Africa, surrounded by hostile territory. Uganda's military, though not particularly well-trained, numbered in the thousands and possessed Soviet-supplied equipment. The terrorists were heavily armed and had positioned themselves strategically within the terminal. Intelligence about the precise layout of the old terminal was limited, and any rescue attempt would require split-second timing and flawless execution. But how could Israel possibly gather accurate intelligence about a remote airport in Uganda when they had virtually no presence in the country? The answer reveals one of the most remarkable aspects of this operation. Israeli intelligence services reached out to an unlikely source. The Israeli construction company Solel Bone, which had actually built the original terminal at Entebbe Airport years earlier. The company's archives contained detailed blueprints and construction plans, providing crucial information about the building's layout, structural weaknesses, and potential entry points. Still, something was missing. A plan this audacious couldn't rely solely on old drawings and assumptions. If even one detail was wrong, the consequences would be catastrophic. The intelligence gathering didn't stop there. Mossad agents worked around the clock to piece together information from various sources. They interviewed released hostages who had been freed earlier, gathering details about the terrorists' positions, weapons, and routines. They analyzed photographs and studied every available piece of information about Ugandan military capabilities and airport security. As intelligence flowed in, military planners began crafting what would become known as Operation Thunderbolt, later renamed Operation Entebbe. The plan was breathtakingly audacious. Israeli commandos would fly over 2,500 miles, land at a hostile airport under cover of darkness, neutralize the terrorists, rescue the hostages, and escape before Ugandan forces could mount an effective response. The mission would require clean coordination between multiple Israeli military units. The elite Sayeret Matkal unit, led by Lieutenant Colonel Yonatan Netanyahu, would spearhead the assault on the terminal. Additional paratroopers would secure the airport and neutralize Ugandan military positions. Transport aircraft would carry the assault teams, while Hercules cargo planes would provide the means of evacuation. But how could Israeli aircraft possibly reach Uganda without being detected by radar systems across multiple countries? The solution was as clever as it was risky. The Israeli Air Force planned a route that would take them over the Red Sea, down the coast of Africa, carefully avoiding Egyptian and Sudanese airspace while exploiting gaps in radar coverage. They would fly at extremely low altitudes to avoid detection, a technique that required exceptional piloting skills and carried enormous risks. The operation began on the evening of July 3, 1976. 4 Israeli Transport Command Hercules aircraft took off from Ophir Air Base in the Sinai Peninsula, now returned to Egyptian control. The lead aircraft carried the assault team, while the others transported additional soldiers, medical personnel, and equipment. The flight would take approximately 7 hours, during which the commandos reviewed their plans, checked their equipment, and mentally prepared for what many believed could be a suicide mission. The first Hercules approached Entebbe Airport at 11 p.m. local time, its pilots using remarkable skill to land without proper runway lighting. The aircraft taxied to a position near the old terminal, and within seconds, the assault began. Israeli commandos poured out of the aircraft, moving swiftly toward their objectives under cover of darkness. What happened next would later be described as 7 minutes that changed history. The Israeli assault team moves toward the terminal. At the front is Yonatan Netanyahu. Every step has been rehearsed, every turn inside the terminal committed to memory. They know exactly where they're going. Suddenly, they burst through the terminal entrance. Gunfire erupts. Shouts echo through the building with commands in Hebrew and English telling hostages to get down. The terrorists are caught off guard. Confused and scrambling, they try to react. But it's too late. Shots crack in the dark. The commandos engage the militants in fierce firefights. It's fast and brutal. One wrong move could cost lives. The hostages duck. In the chaos, 3 are hit and killed in the crossfire. One by one, the terrorists fall. Within minutes, all 8 are dead. But something's wrong. Outside, Netanyahu has been hit. A Ugandan soldier's bullet finds him. Still, he pushes forward, leading until his body gives out. At the same time, other Israeli units are already in motion. They move around the airport perimeter, targeting Ugandan military positions. MiG fighters on the ground are destroyed. The control towers are hit to block communications. Each part of the plan clicks into place. Every team performs with sharp precision. The mission isn't over yet, but the hardest part is done. Now comes the remarkable twist that few people know about this operation. Among the hostages was 75-year-old Dora Bloch, taken to a Ugandan hospital days earlier after choking on food. Israeli planners knew where she was, but couldn't include her in the rescue without risking the mission. They hoped to secure her release later through diplomacy. After the raid, Idi Amin, enraged by the humiliation, ordered her killing. Ugandan security forces dragged her from her hospital bed and murdered her, making her the 4th Israeli victim. For years, Uganda claimed she had returned safely to Israel. The truth came out later through intelligence and eyewitness accounts. As the rescue operation concluded, Israeli aircraft began the process of evacuation. The rescued hostages, many still in shock from their ordeal, were loaded onto the transport planes alongside the assault teams. The entire operation at Entebbe had lasted less than an hour, but the flight home would take just as long as the journey there. The return journey presented its own challenges. Kenyan authorities, initially reluctant to become involved in the conflict, allowed Israeli aircraft to refuel at Nairobi Airport. This decision proved crucial, as the heavily loaded planes needed additional fuel to complete their journey home. Kenyan cooperation was later revealed to be the result of behind-the-scenes diplomatic negotiations that had been taking place even as the military operation unfolded. When the aircraft finally touched down in Israel on July 4, 1976, they were greeted by thousands of cheering Israelis and international media. The successful rescue amazed the world and showed that terrorism could be fought with strong action instead of giving in. The operation's success sent a clear message to terrorist organizations worldwide that Israeli citizens would not be abandoned, regardless of where they were taken or how difficult the rescue might prove. However, the operation had significant diplomatic consequences. Uganda severed diplomatic relations with Israel and expelled its remaining Israeli advisors and technicians. Idi Amin, seeking to restore his damaged reputation, launched violent reprisals against Uganda's remaining Jewish community and anyone suspected of cooperating with Israel. The successful rescue, while saving 102 lives, had broader implications for Israeli relations across Africa. The tactical lessons learned from Operation Entebbe influenced military planning and counterterrorism strategies for decades to come. For Israel's military establishment, Operation Entebbe became a defining moment that shaped the country's approach to terrorism for generations. The operation proved that distance and hostile territory were not impossible obstacles when lives were at stake. It reinforced Israel's commitment to the principle that no Israeli would be abandoned to terrorists, regardless of the political or military costs involved. The human cost of the operation continued to resonate long after the successful rescue. Yonatan Netanyahu's death transformed him into a national hero, symbolizing the price of freedom and the courage required to confront evil. His younger brother Benjamin would later cite Yonatan's sacrifice as a formative influence on his own political career and approach to security issues. The 3 civilian hostages who died in the rescue attempt were remembered as victims of terrorism rather than military action. Their death served as a reminder that even the most successful operations carry tragic costs, and that the fight against terrorism inevitably involves difficult moral choices and unavoidable sacrifices. Operation Entebbe stands as a testament to what determination, courage, and meticulous planning can achieve against seemingly impossible odds. But it also raises profound questions about the nature of heroism and sacrifice in the modern world. When governments face the choice between negotiating with terrorists and risking everything on a military rescue, what factors should guide their decisions? As global terrorism continues to evolve, are the lessons of Entebbe still relevant in today's world? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.